Hi everyone, Side here. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well, staying safe, healthy, and sane. I know that last one is a little bit difficult, but hopefully you're keeping there. So yeah, I haven't been posting in a long time, but just wanted to give a little update on things and then share something, um, hopefully wisdom, you know? I don't know, we'll see. So in early August, I started going to the gym, and I've been going at least once a week, most of the time, 2 times a week. And then I also started fitness boxing. You can actually see those red things there are hand wraps, that you put around your hands to try and protect them from impacts. I also have gloves somewhere, but they're somewhere. And I also started going to belly dancing again, so that has been fun. In the past week, I found it a little bit more difficult to go to the gym because, it's getting dark out there and it's getting cold and, but it's made me feel real good, like seeing results and feeling my body get stronger, even though during every fitness boxing class it's like I thought I was getting in better shape, but then they bring me back to reality there. Okay, but yeah, anyways, just wanted to share that. So 3 years ago, I moved back to Finland, as some of you know. And as some of you know, that was a messy time. It was very emotional time, and I was an emotional wreck for a long time after that. And I felt a lot of this bitterness about having to move back and all the circumstances related to the move back here. And overall, it was just a tough time. And so I moved back to Finland in September 2nd of 2022, and I was without a job for a few months after that, and yeah, it was stressful. Mentally and physically, I was not feeling very well. And then in December 19, 2022, I landed a job. I started the job, I got the contract and everything done a little bit earlier than that, but anyways. And so, yeah, I was in a bad place mentally at the time. There was a lot of instability going on and emotional drama, and I got the job thanks to myself. It was my resume and my interview. Something about me convinced them that, hey, even though I was inside, I was this mess, and I was probably just vibrating or radiating or whatever with this desperation or something, but they still gave me a chance here, And I've been given new chances at this company again and again. Even though in the beginning I was so insecure, not just about myself as a person, because my life circumstances were making me feel like very shitty, to be honest, about myself as a person, that I'm not good enough for anything or for anyone. And that was reflecting on my thoughts about my job as well. I was so insecure about my job and how I was doing. I was constantly afraid that they would let me go. And honestly, even at times, I would declare to my friends, oh, I don't care if they let me go. I'm so miserable and, I'm so horrible at this that it doesn't matter. And then simultaneously being afraid of, becoming jobless again, And I was so stressed out about everything that I actually started falling sick quite a lot. My physical health just plummeted down. And honestly, I was absent quite a lot and I was barely holding on mentally. And I'm so grateful for my bosses at the time that they didn't hold it against me. Like, I did openly tell them that, hey, there's a lot going on in my personal life right now and it's affecting me physically and mentally. And so I was given a chance, you know? And whenever I did whenever I was at work and whenever I was doing my job, I did my best to do what was asked of me and more, you know? And I was, where I work, the field that I work in, the industry that I work for, is basically completely new to me. I knew nothing about certain products before I came here, you know? Like, I did have some vague experience from a previous job many years ago. And I knew how to, you know, communicate with suppliers and other stakeholders. But still, everything was so new. So yeah, I was super insecure about everything. But whenever I did contribute, I apparently did good enough job that I was being kept in this company and I'm still here, you know? But yeah, so I was super insecure of the work that I was able to do. I was constantly doubting myself if I was good enough. And anytime my boss or even someone in the team wanted to talk to me, I was instantly, you know, like, is this it? Is this the end? And I was just basically tiptoeing around the promises because I didn't want to be noticed by anyone, you know, just in case they haven't noticed that I'm not good enough. But if they notice me, then they might realize that I'm not good enough to be here, you know, that I'm not worthy of being here. And then my desk was also at a place where I got to be alone quite a lot, which felt like a relief because I was like, now I can hide. I can hide my incompetency, you know, or what I perceive to be incompetency. I can't really pronounce that word, but I'm trying. But yeah, I was able to pull through. I contributed whatever I could, and sometimes even more than that. I learned a lot along the way, and I started connecting with the people around me more. Like, we would have these, I was working at a space where there were these, they're older than me, these colleagues, and they started inviting me to join them for tea and, you know, chats and stuff like that. They started including me, you know. And I was starting to slowly trust my environment, myself a little bit more. But the doubts, they lingered for a long while. And anytime I had a contract coming closer to its end, I started falling apart at the seams. And a quick word about contracts here. So even internal employees often get short-term contracts, like fixed term, because that's just how it is in Finland at the moment, and in specific fields as well, and in specific companies, you know, that's just the reality here, you know. Getting a permanent contract with a job, especially when you're a low-level white-collar worker, it's very rare to get a permanent contract, you know. I know some people around me are telling me that, oh, white collars can get permanent contracts as well, but those people usually speak from a different level of the workforce, you know. They are a little bit higher up in the hierarchy, you know. So anyways, there were moments when I was sitting at my desk and I was just in tears and ready to break down. And it was tough when people would show up at my desk and, you know, I would have to, you know, shove everything back down and try to at least pretend that I was okay. Still, I never brought up my insecurities and my contract concerns at the workplace. Sure, there were times when I told people that, hey, you know, my contract is about to end and I'm a little worried. And these people would tell me that you have nothing to worry about. And I didn't believe them, you know. And then I was venting to my friends and family, of course. And I was excessively expressing how bad I felt at my job and how I was certain that my contract wouldn't get extended. And it actually got to the point where people were telling me to shut up, basically. That they were tired of my negativity and they were tired of hearing me say such bad things about myself, you know? And while I would occasionally inquire about an extension from my managers, I kept it to the minimum. I mean, inside, I was fretting to the point that I was having basically another mental meltdown, but I didn't let it show at the workplace, or at least I did my best to not let it show, you know? And I didn't start talking to people how I doubted if I'm good enough there, you know? There was one person that I did open up about feeling not good enough, but I did it like a couple of times maybe, and you know, when they told me that, hey, you know, that's not true, I just took it. Like, I didn't really react, and I didn't really believe the words, but I didn't start arguing back about it, you know? But yeah, I was doubting myself for the first 2 years in the company, you know. So yeah, I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust in my skills, but I'm still here. And I actually just recently got the news that my contract, which currently is set to end at the end of October, it's going to be extended until May 2nd, at least. We'll see what happens after that. But yeah, I've been given more responsibilities and I've expressed interest in learning more about this field and our processes, and expressing that I have suggestions for improvements regarding certain things, and that I would like to have more responsibility in the future, like 2 to 3 years from now, if I'm still here. I would like to do like try project management or take up a little bit more responsible role in the team. But yeah, so this year in August, I asked my manager when I could possibly hear about the future, and I was told that they couldn't tell me yet because first they were going through those whose contracts were set to end of September. So I was like, okay, all right, thanks, get back to you later. And then in September, I asked again, and I also stated that, hey, you know, I have this apartment that is expensive to live in, and because of the contract, how it works with the apartment, with the lease, I would like to know in advance, you know, if I'm going to be here after October. And even though my manager brought it up here and there, like to give me a status update on the situation with that, I didn't feel nervous or as stressed about things like I did before. Like, I wasn't panicking about it until, you know, the beginning of October. That's when it started becoming my, like, oh God, do I really have to move to my parents, you know, live live upstairs from my parents in their house. Like, yeah, I would sometimes joke about it to people around me, like, hey, maybe I'll have to move, upstairs in my parents' house. But still, no matter what would happen, like, I think it has really settled in that, well, I've gained more confidence in myself, in my skills. And I knew that no matter what happens, it's not going to be because I'm bad at what I do, at my job. Like, I know I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst employee here either, So I knew that it wouldn't be personal if I was let go from here, and I think that really helped. And when I was talking to friends, like, I would be like, I wonder what's going to happen with my contract. Some of them reacted like I was about to have a mental breakdown again, and I had to be like, hey, whoa, no. I'm in a better place mentally, financially, everything is better now. So I'm not about to spiral. Like, I get it why you think that, because in the past I would do that and it was pretty bad. But like, please calm down. I'm not about to break down here and start panicking, Like I said, I have a backup plan. And I also had a plan that sometimes I could ask my godparents. Like, I never brought it up with them, but I thought about it that, if living upstairs with my parents gets too depressing, then I can ask my godparents, like, hey, you guys have this house, big house, maybe I could live with you guys for a while, like, look for jobs in that area and go to interviews in there and hang around with you guys. And my mom was also like on board with these ideas, especially the one where I was like, maybe I'll, live upstairs of your house. And I told her that the only thing that depressed me about that thought was because it's a small town, really, really small town, You can barely see it on the map unless you zoom in. And I was like, the only thing that depresses, like, I would love to have, because I didn't have summer vacation this year. My contract with the previous temp agency ended, and I switched to a different temp agency, which reset my summer vacation days because I wasn't smart enough to try and negotiate for them to transfer things. So I haven't had proper vacation in a year now. So I was like, as much as I would like to have some time for myself, spend time with you guys, with my parents and other family, I was like, it would still feel like a setback, taking a step back and regressing, yeah. And because it's a small town, I would feel depressed and stuck. And I mean, before I moved to Ireland, I was feeling stuck in life. Life was stagnant. It wasn't going anywhere. And so having to move to my parents, I feel like that would have had that similar effect. Like, of course, I'm aware that things change, opportunities arise. I could be at my parents' and suddenly get a message on LinkedIn like, hey, would you like to move to, I don't know, Japan, Ireland again, somewhere, if you get this job and if we pay for your travel expenses, relocation expenses and all of those. I know those sort of things can happen because it has happened to me, but still, anyways, while I was explaining this to my mom, she understood what I meant. But yeah, that was reality for me up until I heard, and it's a reality that I might have to face again in May, but that's a worry for then, and by then I will have been here for almost 3.5 years. So, that's great. That not only looks great on a resume, but it just it's great for myself in here as well, and up here as well, you know. This is my first job or workplace where I've been here for this long. And I've been in different departments, different teams, doing different sorts of tasks. Like, all of them have been pretty similar, but still. And this is the first time that I've not only experienced personal things, personal drama about contract extensions, but I'm also been witnessing, like, even though in my previous teams in this company I was aware of the layoffs and the change negotiations and some team members having to leave, it didn't affect me directly because all of those people were people with whom I did not work with on a daily basis. But now in my current team, things are a little bit different. Now we come to what I really want to try and convey in this message, and hopefully this resonates with someone. Hopefully this serves as a nugget of wisdom to someone. Someone who might be struggling with such high anxiety about their work performance, their skills, their overall self-esteem. And if you're new to the workforce, if you haven't been working before, then hopefully this next bit will act as a guideline of how to handle things in a professional setting. So it's okay to feel insecure about your skills, about yourself, about your position in the future at your workplace, especially during layoffs, change negotiations, or when people are discussing their contract extensions, when you're in a workplace where, you know, temp contracts are a common thing. But honestly, please, if you constantly bring up your contract extension to people at the workplace, and especially when you pair it with things like, my contract won't be extended, I'm such a bad employee and I suck at this and that, it is unfortunately going to affect your colleagues and how they perceive you, how management perceives you. And no matter how good you are actually at your job, people will be feeling awkward and uncomfortable and guilty, you know, and that will affect the overall mood at the workplace. And people don't like that, you know. Like, none of us really go to work because we love it. We go there to make a living. Especially in Finland, this is a thing. Like, we work because we know we have to, you know, otherwise we're not gonna have a house or whatever. And especially in workplaces where things are so unstable, like in my workplace, in an industry like mine, people are not gonna be enjoying it when you keep bringing more instability to the overall picture, you know. And if you keep bringing up your contract extension to your manager, constantly asking for an update, even when your current contract end date is still months away, unfortunately, they might get the idea that you have some reason to get to know ASAP, you know? Maybe you're planning to move elsewhere. Maybe you want to change jobs. Maybe you're planning to quit or retire or whatever. And they'll be wondering about it, you know? If somebody came to me and constantly asked me what's going to happen in the future, especially when I've told them that I can't tell you yet because it's so far away in the future, you know, then it's not gonna give me a good picture, you know. So yeah, management won't like that. So if you do that sort of a thing at the workplace, and then you get a call from HR and you're told that your contract is not going to be extended after this and that date, then I'm sorry, but it's not too surprising, you know? And even if your manager is not present in your daily life, if they're in a different city, different country, or a different continent altogether, word might still get around. Somebody might bring up to their manager, and that manager talks with your manager like, hey, this person is bringing down the mood at the workplace. Yeah, that sort of thing can happen, you know? So yeah, even if it's hard, even if you're feeling bad, even if you feel like you're about to break down, maybe don't vent about the situation at the workplace. You know, at least not so frequently, you know? Maybe talk to a trusted friend, journal about it, or talk to a professional or something. And please don't say things like, I'm a worse employee than the rest of you, when you hear that you're not going to be staying here any longer, because it's not going to help anything, you know? And I mean, it's great when people feel safe enough to talk to their colleagues about their personal circumstances, whether it's work related or out of work stuff. But situations like this, it just feels like some people want others to feel guilty, or they're just trying to garner pity in a way. And yeah, that can really affect how people perceive you, and it's not a good way they might perceive you, you know? But anyways, yeah. I've learned a lot here in these 3 years, almost 3 years, about myself, about workplace dynamics, and honestly also about how much our words and energy matter, especially in a professional setting. Like, it's okay to struggle, but the way you carry that struggle, especially in a professional work setting, like a workplace, then the way you carry things it can shape not just your own path, but the atmosphere around you. I can speak. Yeah, like I said, it's okay to feel insecure. You're allowed to feel insecure. You're allowed to have bad days. But try not to let those feelings define how others see your worth. Because chances are you're actually doing better than you think. You're not the worst employee, you know? Even if you don't have all the skills someone else has, doesn't mean you're bad or worse than someone else. You have different skills than them. You know, you have something that they are not so good at. So it balances everything out. And honestly, shit talking about yourself at work especially, it's not going to help. It might feel cathartic at the moment, but it can backfire, and so badly. Your worth isn't really measured by how loudly you doubt yourself. It's by how you show up, you know? If you're willing to learn and keep going, you know? Be mindful of what you share and how often, whether it's at the work or with friends. Like I said, my friends were getting fed up with certain topics that I kept bringing up over and over. And the way I talked about myself was honestly so horrible. Like, I was very horrible towards myself, like really, really cruel. And my friends and family, they grew tired of that. But guess what? Nobody at work knows about that. Well, I say nobody, but there's one person who knows, but she kept encouraging me as well. But yeah, keep venting to somewhere outside work, you know, and at work, let your work speak for itself. And even if you do well and you still end up being let go, just know, please, that it's not always about you. Sometimes it's just bureaucratic bullshit, especially in stock market companies where shareholder profits weigh heavier than anyone's personal circumstances. That's just the cold truth about it, you know? It's not nice, and in a perfect world it wouldn't be like that, but that's just how it is, you know? And also, please remember that when something doesn't work out, even if it's something that you think you really, really wanted, there's a reason why it didn't work out. The Irishman experience for me personally is a perfect example of that. I really wanted things to work out with him, but they didn't. And it's good, you know. At the moment when things were happening and long after, like for months after all of that, I couldn't see it, you know. But things change, opportunities come and go. And while it's okay to sometimes stop and even wallow for a little while in something that feels bad, it's best to just get up and keep on moving and try something new. If something doesn't work out, if you keep hitting your head against the wall about something and it's just not working out, then move on. You know, stop hitting that particular wall and move on to another wall, you know? Or hopefully there's no wall, but maybe you catch my drift, you know? Yeah, some endings are beginnings, you know? Anyways, I hope that resonated with someone, this message, this video. And if it did, if it resonates with you, then please feel free to share your own experiences in the comments. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, stay safe, healthy, and sane, everyone. You know, I know the last part is a little bit hard, but you got this. We got this. We'll keep on trucking. Anyways, see you guys later whenever I happen to post a new video. But yeah, take care.